Hello and welcome to the 20th episode of When I Was Your Age. I'm your host, Roland Parker, coming to you from the College Football Playoff Committee's worst nightmare. And as always, it is a joy, pleasure, and a treat to have you here. Today's guest is Will Hopkins. I'm really excited to catch up with him, talk about what he's been doing, and get an understanding of what it's like in the logistics world. Before we get started and bring Will on, a little bit of housekeeping. Make sure that you follow the Instagram at WIWYA pod. And thank you so much for the support. We are currently at 860 followers. Pretty soon here, we're going to have more followers on that Instagram than my personal one, which is kind of weird to think about. If you are listening for the first time, consider giving us a follow. You can do so on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Podcasts. You can also watch episodes on YouTube, and the links to all those places are available in the link tree in the Instagram bio. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring Will to the stage. Will, how's it going? What you been up to?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I've been up to, really just working a lot. A lot going on with the company, and that's about it. I moved back to Vestavia, where I'm originally from, a few months ago. Other than that, that's pretty much it that I'm up to.
Nice, good deal. Well, anything special for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so I went down to Fairhope. My uncle just moved down there a few months ago, and we had everybody from all over New York, Mississippi. I went down there for Thanksgiving, and then I made my way back up to Auburn for the weekend for the Iron Bowl. So that was a lot of fun, and yeah, back in the swing of things already.
Nice. Did you go in the game?
Yeah, I did. It was actually
Wow.
my first time going into an Iron Bowl.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was watching it at my parents' house, and I had like pretty well like just accepted the fact that it was over. Um, so to see that last like throw, I was like so floored that that it went through. It was like I don't know. That was one of the craziest like finishes to a college football game I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it was nuts. It kind of felt like the life was sucked out of the stadium when he called it. I mean, I'm an Ole Miss fan, so I didn't really have a dog in the fight. I didn't really care who won, but when it happened, I mean, I was just in disbelief. Thought there's no way they're going to get that.
Yeah, that's gotta be a crazy environment too. That's been what a lot of my TikTok feed has been lately, is just all of, like, these Auburn fans, they're recording what they think is gonna be, like, this moment where they're running on the field and stuff, and then just, like, everybody's, like, face just drops. It's
Yeah,
so
I saw
so
it in real time. I mean, yeah, you could feel it. I mean, you could just the energy. It's
yeah,
crazy.
no doubt, no doubt. All right, well, that's what I'd say to you guys, if you're not following Will on Instagram, make sure that you do so. You can follow Will and Blackbox Logistics. We've got the handles up there in the stream, and we'll have them listed in the description of the podcast as well. But we'll go ahead and get into some get to know you questions. So we touched on this a little bit already, but where are you from, and where do you currently live?
So yeah, I'm originally way back. I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi, but I was born and raised in Birmingham, Vestavia. That's where Roland and I know each other. Our moms were really good friends growing up, so we were running around. I mean, like 4 to 7 years old, pretty much every day. Roland and his brother Max, and my brother Max and me. But yeah, born or raised in Vestavia. Went to Mississippi for a little bit, Louisiana, Florida, and then made my way back to Birmingham, which is where we started Blackbox, and I've been here the last 6 years or so.
Nice, very cool. And so I didn't know that you had been in Florida for a time. That's
Yeah,
so tell me about that. What was going on there?
yeah. So I graduated high school in Florida. So my
Okay,
senior year of high school, I did it online. I was living in like the Santa Rosa area. I was selling or renting beach chairs and doing online school. It was yeah, it was an interesting time. It was weird to graduate down there. It was a really cool experience.
nice, very cool. So what is it that you do? Give us a little brief rundown of that.
Yeah, so in layman's terms, I mean, we're a third party logistics company, so a freight brokerage. And I mean, essentially, we're finding shippers, manufacturers, really anybody that needs anything moved, and we're middlemaning the transportation. So, say there's a company in Birmingham Steel, they might call us and say, "Hey, Will, I've got 46,000 pounds of pipe I need moved to Houston tomorrow," and I'll say, "Okay, I can get you a 48-foot flatbed for $2,000, and then we're going to go source an actual trucking company to do it less than $2,000." And that difference is how we make money. But we just we assist, or really we oversee transportation for companies all over in North America, mainly U.S. and Canada. No international beyond that.
Nice. Very, very cool. Good. I think that was a really eloquent way to like put what logistics is. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like you've given that answer a couple times before.
Yeah, well, I always get asked, like, what do you do? And for the longest time, like you say freight brokerage or logistics, it sounds really complicated. And I mean, it is to an extent. What we do isn't super simple, but at the end of the day, it's the most simplified, purest form of logistics, over the road transportation, A to B. So a lot of times I'll just tell people, like, hey, like I set up, we move big things on big trucks. You get into logistics freight brokerage, you can, I don't know, throw people off. They think it's finance or something.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm glad to have you on too, especially after our previous guest was the guys from way downtown. Douglas, he works in logistics. So I got to kind of, when I was catching up with him, kind of talk a little bit about what he does. Helped me get a better picture of that as well. And then how old are you?
I'm 24. I'll be 25 in a couple of weeks. My birthday is December 12th.
Nice. Very cool. Well, happy early birthday to you.
Thank you.
And what piece of media are you currently enjoying? Be that book, podcast, music, TV, anything that you're kind of looking at as entertainment or enrichment? What do you go to right now?
Yeah, I'm a big audiobook listener. So like at work or driving, I'll have an audiobook going, and then I'm really big on reaching out for book recommendations from other people. Like right now, I'm reading a book that my grandfather sent me. Actually, it's called The Rebellious CEO, and it's about 12 different entrepreneurs who did it, quote unquote, the right way. So I'm reading that right now, and then I'll listen to a few different books at once, kind of bounce around. And then I'm always watching, not always, but I keep up with sports. So, NFL, college football, I watch those games. And then my girlfriend has me watching Grey's Anatomy with her. And as much as it embarrasses me to say, I'm really into it. I like it a lot. It's a great show. You should give it if you haven't. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that's one that you get into for the long run. I think it's like 11 or 12 seasons or something.
Yeah, we're on like season 13. It's like 20 now or something crazy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's way more than I thought. That's insane.
I've been watching it for 6 months, still like halfway done. So
that's insane too. Shout out Shonda Rhimes. She's in her bag, I suppose. What is something that you'd consider a luxurious necessity?
A luxurious necessity. Oh man, that's kind of a tough one. Well, give me one. What would you say is one? I need to
this is kind of the prompt that I give to everyone when they're thinking about their answer. For me, it's a nice cup of coffee. So we like having the espresso machine upstairs, like in the kitchen. That's like what we go to. Not super necessary. You could do up the Keurig or anything like that. But I like taking the time and the ritual of making like the espresso and like making a syrup if I want to like have like a certain flavor and something like that. A little outside like the realm of like what I might need, and it's like a little extra and fun, but it's integrated into the routine.
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback off of yours. I'm not going to copy it, but I'm a huge tea drinker. So I love trying different teas. Like I'm one of those people. I'll go to like the Publix aisle with the teas, and I mean I'll grab like one of each and just start trying them. But every night, really, like when I get home from work, I'll drink a tea, like a yerba mate mix. It's got a little bit of caffeine. It's not like say like 40 milligrams a bag. So it's nothing crazy. It's not like a equivalent to a coffee or like an energy drink. It's enough to like keep me going, but not too much to keep me up. And then at night, the sleepy time tea, I'll mix it with all kinds of different ones, but I always got one to three of those in there. And I'll drink one as I'm going to sleep and reading a book in bed.
Nice. Definitely. I feel that. Would you ever get like a tea subscription service?
Yeah, I would actually. I'm gonna show you my teacup.
Oh, we got to see it.
So I gotta hold it. Well, I thought you didn't lights up. It's really neat.
It in the back. Oh,
little
nice.
LED lights. Can you see it?
Yeah, that looks great.
Yes, I love tea. Was a big coffee guy for the longest time. But I don't know, something about it now, like the aftertaste. I don't know how like my mouth feels. It kind of got away from it, got into tea.
Nice, good deal. That's awesome. Maybe so maybe we can work on some logistics for shipping big bulk of tea somehow.
Yeah, I love it. We tried to ship yerba mate. They make cans.
Uh-huh.
They're a little bit stronger than the canned ones. I mean, they're pretty similar to like an energy drink, but we've got a guy here, Chris Sturma, who is actually the one that put me onto the teas with the yerba mate, and we called them for the longest time. We wanted to ship their stuff, but
Yeah.
hasn't worked out yet.
It's gotcha. Well, still plenty of room, plenty of time there.
Yeah.
Do you have any bits that you're doing either with girlfriend or with your friends or even just yourself or even in like the workplace too? Any running jokes or bits that you think of?
Yeah, well, kind of. For some reason, like I'll go through phases where like I'll just have a phrase that I say a lot, and lately it's just been, "Damn, that's crazy." It's just like, man, that's crazy. Like that's wild. I don't know why. Then I'll probably go through that for like 2 or 3 weeks, and like I have another one. But yeah, that's kind of been it as of late. I mean, it's not like a super interesting one, but I'm just saying like, damn, that's wild, or damn, that's crazy.
That makes me think of like if somebody's kind of like talking your ear off and you're just really not trying to hear like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'll say like that's what's up. If it's something like off the wall, out of pocket, that's just like our responder's like, that's what's up.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I love that. That's good. Given the opportunity to replace the national anthem with any song on your playlist, what would that be? And tell me a little bit about that.
And any song on my playlist. Let's go to my playlist real quick.
I've been really interested to hear people's responses because we get a wide array of directions people go. They go for the funny route, they go for like true like patriotism or things that just like move them. So it's been great to get that. And by the way, we compile all the answers into a playlist that I put on Spotify, and that is available in the link tree for you to follow and listen to. So make sure that you check that out.
What are some of your favorites that people have given?
My humps is a really funny one. I like that a lot. Um, Freebird has been a reoccurring answer. I've loved to see that a couple times. Um, man, let me pull up the playlist because I love hearing how people's like mind like works when they're justifying um their answers too, because it's
Yeah,
so funny.
I mean, I hate to do this again, but I think I would double down on the Freebird. It's just like one of those songs that just feels American.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Classic answer. I totally agree. Party in the USA was one. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's a Great Day to Be Alive by Travis Tritt. It's a lots of good answers in that way. But so you double down on the Freebird.
I'll double down on the Freebird. I'll have to give your playlist a listen.
Nice. So which version do you think, the radio edit or the 10-minute guy?
I mean, I think that you would have to go radio at just so it's not too like you would have two versions, right? Like it would be the longer one, but then the one that you would actually play at like events would be like the radio cut
Yeah.
down or something, so it's not 10 minutes. But
Yeah, before the flyover, just a nightmare. Trying to work that out. Like, all right, guys, we've started. I need you to loop around before you make it over the stadium.
yeah, that's a good question. I've never had anybody ask me that.
I like asking it. We get some. It's a good conversation starter and get some good responses out of it. And then last get to know you question is, how do we know each other? We talked about it a little bit already, but give us the breakdown there.
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of grew up with each other. So Roland has a brother named Max, who's my age, and I have a brother named Max that's Roland's age. And our moms are really good friends. So I mean, growing up, we'd always be at each other's houses, spending the night doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, I remember one time I actually peed on your cabinets when I was really young. I mean, like maybe like 5 or 6 years old. I don't remember it, but the story gets told a lot.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
wait for it, but yeah, I mean, we were around each other all the time growing up.
Yeah, 100%. My recollection of how it went is we had like a big sleepover, so it's probably like 8, 10 people kind of staying at our house. And I woke up because I kind of heard like some wrestling, and I go around like to the kitchen and I see you like peeing like on the cabinets, and like where our like, I guess like the same spot in your house, like would have been the equivalent of the bathroom, but it was like our kitchen. And so I like woke my mom up. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but Will's like peeing on the couch.
Yeah.
So, but you were just like sleepwalking or something. It was so funny. My mom loves to tell that story too.
Yeah, mine does too. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember it, but I feel like I do just because it's been told so many times.
Right. Of course. That's how it goes. I love to hear it. I'm glad that you brought that up. Well, getting a little bit more into what it is that you do in your story. You're the owner of Blackbox Logistics. We talked a little bit about what logistics means and how that functions, but could you maybe take me point A to B? And so look at that. Point A to B of how you got started in owning this business and how you got into logistics, like just from the jump.
Yeah. So, man, it's kind of a long story, but at the same time, a pretty short story of how I got involved in logistics. I was young. I mean, I was 18 years old. I wasn't really sure like what I wanted to do. I was lacking a lot of direction in my life, just overall. I mean, I was pretty lost and getting into some trouble, you know. And I was at Auburn for like a very brief stint, and I was sent home, and I was in Birmingham, just defeated. Like, what am I going to do? I don't know. And I have a friend actually who owns a similar company to mine in Homewood. He reached out. He's like, "Hey man, like come over here. Like let's get you on your feet, some structure. Come work over here. Like get your life together, essentially." And I mean, I was 18 years old, started brokering freight, and I really dove into it. I didn't have much else going on, so I mean, I devoted essentially all of my time, energy, and efforts towards that, understanding the industry, the craft, and what we were doing. And then as far as starting my own company, it kind of all fell together in hindsight. Like it's pretty amazing actually. So I moved into a house with these two guys that were working at that company as well. And two of my best friends today and my partners, they started Blackbox with me. So I'm co-owner. We all own a third. But the neat thing about it, and you would really have to sit down and know these guys and know me to kind of see like how we pair with each other. We're all very different, but we together we make up one very complete business owner, right? Like I excel at some things. I mean, like very well. Like that's my area. I'm the best at certain things that I do. Then William, certain things that he does, he's the best. And Logan, certain things. And like all those three things together, we have all our bases covered. So I was living with them, and man, after a while, it's kind of, which in the owners of that company, they're still good friends of mine, but we just didn't see a lot of opportunity or real sustainable growth, like a future career. Is kind of looking at my position and what I was doing. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to be doing this for the, 10 years from now in the same position. I don't really see like how I move forward or like move up here. It doesn't seem like a clear direction for career growth. And after a while, we're kind of just like, hey, like we can go do this, like we're very capable. We're young at the time. None of us really had, any real responsibilities, like we're all young single men in like the perfect place in our lives to take a risk like that. So we decided, I mean, it's funny actually. So it was right before Christmas. And so, Christmas, like you get time off, like you're coming in for like a couple of days, Christmas, you're off, Thanksgiving, New Year's. So we're going to be working like 2-3 weeks in that time. And we were planning on doing this after New Year's. And one day they came in, and my partner Logan, they asked us to move our desks like down a hill for the new year. Like we were just going to move all our stuff, and he just had enough. He didn't want to move his desk. So he quit on the spot, and then William and I got fired because he told him like, hey, like we're leaving. So I'm at my desk, just minding my business, thinking I'm about to get paychecks for the next 4 or 5 weeks for, not really doing anything. And they come in there, it's like, hey, we need to see you. And we did. It's like, man, what happened? So Logan quit, and William and I got fired. And then from there, we were under some non-compete, non-solicit contracts. So those of you, it doesn't really matter, but essentially you can't compete in the same industry. You can't solicit customers. And there's multiple schools of thought on, are they enforceable? Are they not enforceable? At the end of the day, for us, we respect and really like those guys that gave us the opportunity. So we decided, hey, we're going to respect these contracts. To an extent, we kind of got around it and started a separate company on the other side of the industry, Compass Dispatching Services. So that company does paperwork and load bookings for smaller trucking companies. So like an owner operator, which should be a one-man show, like he owns his truck, he's driving it, or a small fleet with 2 to 3 trucks. they might not have the resources or the infrastructure to really justify hiring somebody full time to do that. So we're essentially like a shell employee of their company. Like, hey, we'll do all of your bookings, we'll invoice on your behalf, do all your tracking, tracing, compliance, all that stuff. Did that for a while, and then we started the brokerage, and then scaled down that company. And it's still around, I guess. We don't do any business through it. It's all the brokerage now.
Nice, very cool. So I like what you said about like, oh, like this is like the perfect time. But even in that, that still feels like a very intimidating thing to do, starting up any kind of business or any venture like that. So
It was
what?
peak COVID too. So we left and we started doing the dispatching company. And so peak COVID, just a little insight on our industry, that was crippling to what we were doing was helping out small trucking companies, small businesses that are operating on the spot market. When COVID happened, everything shut down and there's tons of trucks. So supply and demand, right? Supply is way up, demand's low. So we're dispatching all these people and the rates, what they're getting paid is awful. People are going out of business. And we're doing that and about to start a brokerage in the middle of all of that uncertainty and fear. And yeah, it was a lot. I mean, I don't regret any of it. We never had any doubts, so we were pretty focused and confident that we could do it. But yeah, it was a strange time. It was also the best time for us, but like in the economy and what was going on, it was also,
Yeah,
not the best time.
yeah, definitely. So what, it's over the course of this journey, I'm sure that you had what you envisioned for the future and what you thought the business would look like, even just the industry itself. How does Blackbox today like look different from what you mapped it out to be when you were first starting? When you made your 5-year plan, you had so many things, so much of what you envisioned. But what is different from that first look?
Oh man, so it's kind of tough to say. So when we first started out, it wasn't really, we weren't super structured, or we didn't really have a 5-year plan. Like we knew what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to scale a brokerage, but we never really sat down and said, "Hey, this is where we want to be in 5 years." We do that now. But when we were first starting, it was we were working out of William's house, his living room. We're kind of all there. We're more day to day, not really thinking like super long term. We're thinking week to week at that point. Like how can we grow this week? What's it going to look like next week? Not 5 years. But I mean, looking back, it's pretty amazing to see like how far we've come. If anything, it's exceeded my expectations. I mean, we went from us three till we hired David Raymond, our first employee, moved out of Williams' house, got up to 7, 8 employees, moved out of that office, and now we're up to, I mean, there's 34, 35 of us, and we're coming up on 4 years. And so, like, we went 6 million revenue, 26, 31. We should be around 40 this year. So it's been very challenging, but also the most rewarding thing that I think I'll ever do. I wouldn't trade any of it for anything, the good and the bad.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those achievements, obviously, they're great to hear. All sidebar, you mentioned David. I see David at the gym all the time, so it's cool to kind of sit and talk. I'm like, oh, like you still like with Will and them at Black Box? He's like, yeah, I've been loving it. It's been awesome to do that. It kind of feeds into my next question. Is so much of your team is made up of friends or people that you have history with. Why is that? Why is that important to you?
So it kind of just happened that way, right? But I think that speaks to the culture of Black Box and what we're doing. That it's attractive, that people enjoy working here. That people are making a good living for themselves, and they're looking forward to coming to work. And they're telling people that they know, like, hey, like this is awesome. You should come check it out. So it kind of just shook out that way, and that's how we've hired the majority of our employees, is through word of mouth. And essentially, not everybody, but I mean, like 95% of people are from kind of this area over the mountain, and know one or more people that work here. So it's that's been really cool. I think that's one of the most rewarding aspects of this journey and owning Black Box for me is seeing all these people that I knew previously coming to like work here, and seeing them, make a good living and enjoy coming to work. And it's much bigger than me, William, Logan, than us. I mean, it's really satisfying to be a part of that. It's you get something out of that more so than
Yeah.
the growth or whatever. Like, but seeing people that I know come in, do well. I mean, that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I like that you mentioned too the organic piece, like the word of mouth, like people coming in. I think that really speaks to the culture that you have, is that people are like going out and they're saying like, yeah, I love it here. You should come on. And that kind of branches you out in a really, I think when it's organic like that, it's more sustainable, and people like I would assume that your retention rate is pretty good.
Yeah, so logistics in general, what we do, the retention rate is awful. Brokering freight is pretty saturated and it's super sales intensive. So there's a lot of different brokerage models, but the most common you see is what you would call cradle to grave, like a eat what you kill type model. So you're coming in, not all our positions. We have teams and we have support roles, but um, the most people, the most people that come in are starting as cradle to grave, and so they have to do, I mean, sales intensive for 30, 60, 90 days up to 6 months. So for us, we do 90 days training, and for everybody that makes it through that 90 days training, our retention is fantastic. But there's a lot of people that come in and we tell them in interviews, and sales interviews get a bad rap, in my opinion. I've been into a few myself when I was in the job market, and they'll tell you, hey, go ahead and pick out a boat. Like it's going to be great. You're going to make these calls. It's going to be super easy. We tell people the opposite. We're like, man, it's awful. Like it is truly like an investment. Like if you're doing this for a short term position, you don't want to do it. Go work somewhere else. Like it is going to be, the first 6 to 9 months is awful. You're making calls all day. You're cold calls to people that don't want them, right? And we're trying to build relationships, but it's a lot of rejection, and it's not for everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just the fact of the matter. Like if it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not for everybody. It's just not. It's the beginning's awful. So if you make it through the 90 days, usually early on, we can kind of tell. It's like, hey man, like if this isn't for you, like this is what it looks like. This is what it's going to be. I want you to like really like internalize that and think about it. And if it's not for you, like okay, like we wish you the best of luck. But like let's not torture you. If this isn't what you want to be doing, if you don't see yourself here long term. Right. But yeah, our retention past that point, the point of no return, essentially, once you've invested at 3 months, is good. Nice. Early on, you do see a lot of people that realize, hey, this isn't for me, and we don't hold that against them. I don't think less of anybody that decides, hey, it's not for me. I get it. It's awful at the beginning.
Yeah, so that's like the little fortifying, like trial by fire kind of situation. But the people who stick on after, they're in it for the long run.
But we do have what I would consider a high quality training. Like we have manuals, playbooks, intensive slideshows. We put them down in a classroom type setting for 3-4 weeks before they touch phone or anything, and try to give them the ins and outs. But that being said, nobody can really absorb everything they need to know. And even no matter how long you train for, once you start making the calls, it's different. It is kind of throwing people in the deep end. We do our best to give them floats and rafts, and the people that do the best are the ones that are kind of just, like it is like, I'm just going to go for it. And the people that are hesitant and kind of reserved and they're real nervous, it's not for them. And that's okay.
Yeah. It seems less to do with like you as like a company culture and more just like the nature of the industry. Like some people, like sales are just not for them. Like it doesn't click with their personality necessarily, or like what they want like out of work or anything like that.
There's nothing wrong with that, And so we have had quite a few people that tried the cradle to grave broker position, and the sales was tough for them. They didn't enjoy it. And that's the thing about us that I really take pride in, is if somebody sticks through the cradle to grave thing, and that they really do give them an honest effort and they're doing what they're supposed to do, and it's just not happening for them, we'll usually make a position for them. We'll shift them into a support position, make room for them somehow. Because at the end of the day, if they're good for the culture, they're showing up, good attitude, and they're doing their best, like we appreciate that. And it's not all about, it is a business, it's a for-profit business. But it's not all about the bottom line. Like there's ways that we can position them to help the company where it's not just sales. So it's not only like, you don't have to just be a sales guy here, but for the most part, we try you out in a sales position first.
Yeah, that's awesome. What resources do you look to for inspiration? And so I think a lot of people, like they're, social media, Instagram, like different accounts like that. They tend to funnel down material into whatever like area that you focus on, whatever your interests are. But I'd be really interested to hear what does that look like? Are there logistics focused like content that show up like on your TikTok feed or on your
Yeah.
Instagram or different stuff like that? How does that manifest?
So not so much TikTok. I'm really big on like LinkedIn's my social media. I'm on that the most. That's where, I mean, if you had my screen time for social media applications, it would be LinkedIn way up and everything else small.
Sure.
So through my feed, through doing that with connecting people in the industry, I see what they're doing. I keep up to date, subscribe to several news articles. But aside from not just freight relevant things, like I am big on, like I've got this book, The Daily Stoic, read every morning, uh, pieces every step. So I've got those kind of things I read. And then, like I said, I mean, I read a lot of books, and a lot of the books I read are, I mean, like self-help books to an extent. They're business books about, self-development, emotional intelligence, moral intelligence. I mean, that kind of stuff. So for me, I don't know. I'm big on that. Always being growing somehow, one way or another. I don't really like to be stagnant, So I'm always kind of looking for things to stay motivated. Well, I don't even want to say motivated. For me, I'm not always motivated. I don't really think anybody's always motivated, but I think that I'm disciplined enough to do the things that like I know I need to do to get to where I want. So there's a lot of days I don't feel like coming in. I mean, we have a lot of employees. The business is good. Like I always feel like coming in from 7:30 to 4. Sometimes I'm like, why in this business am I not coming in? I'm going to come in even if I don't want to, and I'm going to be doing the same things that they're doing. And I'm going to be doing the things outside of here that I need to do that got me here, and I'm going to continue to do them, whether I'm motivated or feel like doing it or not. So for me, more so than motivation is just the discipline to know that, like, hey, if I want A, B, C, then I need to do D, E, F, G to get there.
Nice. Very, very cool. And you mentioned like the books and like the other resources that you go to. Can you think of an example of something that you learned from one of those books or articles that you took and applied to how you relate to others in the workplace or like lead the team in any capacity? Like something that you took, you read, and you're like, okay, I think that I can make this work for my current situation.
Yeah, so for me, like I read a lot of books, and I don't really, just because I read a book, I don't necessarily like always agree with it or think that's super applicable. So like I'm big on, I don't, and some people might frown on this, but like I'm big on picking and choosing in books, right? Two books I really like, and the latter is probably going to get some negative feedback. Guys got kind of a, you either love them or you hate them. But the first one, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, it's great. Just connecting with people, how to operate. And then Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. And that book, um, that's what I'm talking about. People will either be like, yeah, oh yeah, David Goggins. So like, oh man, David Goggins, and that book's just kind of talks about just like mental fortitude, really like training your mind. And that's a huge one for me. I read that as we were starting the company when like it wasn't so great. It was just like a lot of hard work and not a lot of results. We haven't seen the fruits of our labors. And that book, when I read that, it kind of like, I don't know, kicked me into another gear. And I'll read that book every 6 months to a year. I mean, I've read it probably 4 or 5 times. It's a great one. The second book's pretty good too, not as good, but Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins is a great one.
Nice, love that. Yeah, no, and I get what you're saying too. It's very kind of just a polarizing guy, but like I think for a lot of people, being able to take some of those motivational elements and like the focus and the discipline, a lot of the things that you've talked about, that would seem so crucial to just what you're doing. That's a lot of the the cold calling and
Yeah.
reaching out to people and receiving rejection and that. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, are there aspects of um, your current position, let's say, that didn't come to you as easy? Maybe leadership, hiring, balancing your work with things outside of work. Are there things that you had to learn and pivot to get better at?
Yeah. I mean, there's countless things. I mean, there's things I'm struggling with today in my role in this company. It's the thing about being like a small business, like founder owner, is that there's lots of hats that we'll need to wear at different times. And I'm not the best at all those things. So like for me, I'm really good at doing, I'm awful at teaching. I don't have the best patience. I'm pretty direct, and like I can be semi unapproachable or not come off the best way when I'm trying to show somebody something. So like I don't train people. Logan trains people. because like I'm not good at it, and like I've worked on it, and like I'm still working on it, right? Like, but it's just not my thing for whatever reason. Like I've moved pretty fast, and like I've struggled to kind of like put myself in somebody else's shoes and like realize like, hey, they haven't been doing this as long. Like, let's slow down. But like I just kind of go and then I get frustrated. It's just a vicious cycle.
Sure.
It's something I struggle with every day. That like I'm not the best teacher, or yeah, I'm not the best teacher. But Logan is great. That's what I was talking about. We pair nicely because he's fantastic. He's great at that stuff. So a lot of times I was trying to explain something. I'll call him. I was like, man, like you're better at this. Like this is what I'm trying to convey. Like, can you go talk to them? And like he'll do it. And I'm working on it. But just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like interpersonal skills, really. So many personalities and different things going on. So that's my biggest struggle is really that sort of stuff. Nothing to do with the business side. I'm really good at operations. That's my thing. But like the people stuff isn't. Like I'm not the best with it.
The coaching ability to get someone to like, hey, I need you to have the ability to do this or follow through on these items here. You just can't relate to that as easily, and maybe Logan is a little more successful, or
yeah, I'm just yeah, I think I come across like I'm very direct and like assertive, and like sometimes I'm like come across the wrong way, but really like it's kind of like this is going to be a weird comparison, but like growing up, I played sports, and they would always tell me like don't listen to like how they're saying it, listen to like what they're saying. That's what I struggle with, like how like I communicate. Sometimes if I'm frustrated, like moving too quick, I don't really like slow down and like you know really go over it well to where they can understand it. A lot of times I'll expect somebody to get something after one time, which isn't realistic, right? So that's my biggest issue is the people, I guess, really.
yeah, I get you. Like the medium and the tone of like, I have this concept. I need you to. You could do it from a coaching and sports perspective, but like, I need you to execute this exercise, this form, this discipline, this whatever. Being able to people don't tend to receive the same information in the exact same way. So yeah, I can kind of picture that.
I think what it boils down to is that I'm somewhat of I like control of my stuff, what I have my hands in. So what's really counterproductive as a business owner when you're trying to build a company instead of just working in a company is that I'm intertwined with so many operations and I have trouble giving those reins over. So I'll kind of give them to somebody and I'll see that they're like not really doing it how I want to do it. I'll take it right back. So that's what I struggle with really is giving the people the freedom to do certain things that I should probably relinquish that I'm still holding on to.
The delegating.
Yeah, delegating, exactly.
I get you. That's hard. Is anything like specific that you're like I need you to?
Yeah. So I mean, I still broker freight, so like I still am in the trenches, so to speak. As in, I have a book of business, but it really is comprised by one customer who's what you would classify as an enterprise shipper. They're publicly traded, like a $40 billion company. We get a lot of freight from them. It's our biggest account. And since they're so much of our business, it is a scary thing to really relinquish the reins on that, to turn it over to somebody. Because if we lost that account, it would be, we wouldn't go under, but it would hurt really bad.
Yeah.
Customers. So like it's tough.
The impact there makes you kind of white knuckle it a little.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. I love that. I can appreciate that. You mentioned the kind of leaning on your partners for different aspects. Like what are some other ways that you guys look to each other for strengths, holding each other up, and helping kind of lend to the overall success of the business?
Yeah, so I mean lots of ways. So again, Logan mostly deals with training and systems and getting things in paper and organization. I'm more day-to-day driver, so to speak, of just day-to-day operations, like what we do day in and day out. And William has the longer time preference and kind of looks out to the future as the finance guy, HR to an extent. So those three together, it makes a pretty functional team, right? But then beyond that, I mean, they're two of my best friends. I lived with them for the longest time. We're all very close. So if I'm ever, struggling with something in work or out of work, I can go to them and they get me and I can talk to them freely. So that's a really cool thing. I don't think that necessarily everybody will have that in a working relationship. The fact that, we are good friends, we started this company and we have all that at the same time. That's a really cool thing because there's not a lot that I don't feel like I could go to them with and not feel comfortable or open and and receive, constructive feedback. Not really. A lot of people might tell you what you want to hear, especially if especially at work, right? Like if I can't go to everybody here and openly talk to them, but those two guys, they'll tell me how it is. They're not going to sugarcoat anything, and they're going to tell me what's for my benefit rather than what I want to hear, and that's really good to have around.
Nice. Well, love that. It comforting to hear from my perspective that you have that in those guys. It makes me feel good to see that you've got support in that way. Um, Tell me a little bit about the culture of just like the office, like the workspace. I saw something on your feed about installing some putting greens. Tell me how important is that to you having those kinds of outlets there? Because it seemed like you were in opposition to it initially.
Well, so it's kind of a balancing act. It's tough, and it's something that I feel like we've done a good job with to this point. But it's tough. Creating a balance between, like a fun work environment, and then also like we're here to work. We've got a group of very young individuals. Everybody's is pretty much 30 or under. It's mostly guys, and sometimes it gets a little rowdy, and it's really easy. It's a freight brokerage, so our floor plan's wide open. So out there through my doors, there's probably 25 people with no walls, and they're all sitting next to each other, standing desks, got balls and putters and all kinds of stuff. So, like for example, we had a pop a shot like basketball goal in the main room. We had to take it away. Um, it's because it's like yeah, like we want to have these things, but at the same time, it's like we can't. Maybe it's distracting some people, and then like certain people are just like, why have you been shooting free throws for 4 hours? Like
Right.
so we took that away. We got the putting green, and people like putt balls into cups and stuff, and they have stress balls, and it's semi relaxed at the same time. I think that we do have a nice balance between fun and work. I think that we created a culture where everybody wants to succeed and push each other. A lot of sales offices, you'll see feuds, almost like competition. Like a lot of people, we got what you call a margin board, like a scoreboard, essentially for
Okay.
your profits for the week, or yeah, I mean your margin for the week. And a lot of times you'll see people kind of be resentful about that. Like this person starts to get good, and they'll just like they'll get down on themselves and kind of take it sideways. Here it seems like that other people want each other to succeed. A win for one is a win for all. And I think that that's really tough to cultivate in a sales office. It just is. It's a competitive environment, and it's really hard to keep that out. I think that we've done a good job of keeping that out.
Nice. It's what are some strategies that you do to kind of foster that feeling of keeping down maybe maintaining the sense of like competitiveness and like the driven edge while maintaining the collaborative kind of atmosphere too.
Yeah, so I mean, I wish I had some secret sauce answer for you. Like, we do this or that, and we're just so smart. But like, really, I think it's just our people. I think that we've got a really good group of people, and that I think that them knowing each other helps. Everybody kind of
Mhm.
knows each other, and they've known them for a while, and they want to see them do well. So to be frank, I don't think it's anything that we're doing as management or owners. I think that we've got a good group of people, and I think that they kind of drive that, not necessarily us.
Nice. That's great. I think it does take a certain amount of like letting it go and like allowing it to for giving it the room to for it to be able to develop and grow in that way. And I think allowing for a for a putting green and other things like that are the ways that you foster that, and knowing when you need to prune it and take away the basketball goal too.
Yeah, well, Logan, the guy that does the training, my partner, we call him the warden. He's the bad guy. He'll take them away. I'm like the fun uncle. Come out every everybody gets out of hand by Logan.
That's too good. Do y'all play like fantasy or anything like that in the office?
Yeah, we've got a fantasy football league, and not everybody participates, but there's like 15 or 16 of us. I think actually my dad, John, he works with us. I think he's in last. So the loser's supposed to enter an amateur bodybuilding contest. I don't know if he actually will, but that's supposed to be the punishment. We'll
Nice.
see.
Good. You know that. I feel like that's a good fun. Let's say, will everybody gonna go attend the bodybuilding competition and
Yeah, I'm sure if he actually does it. I have doubts if he actually will. You know, I don't know.
on the follow through there?
Yeah, it's like we can't fire him because he doesn't want to enter the amateur bodybuilding competition.
Yeah, that's
It's like you do it all.
I feel that. What we mentioned that there initially there wasn't this 5-year plan, and now we have kind of moved into the space of like looking to the future. What do you kind of envision for the future for yourself or for maybe Blackbox in general? Maybe both, seeing as they're so intertwined. But what do you see in the future for now?
Yeah, so this might be semi-abstract. So as of now, we're focused and kind of niche down in domestic over-the-road transportation, so just truckloads. There's a lot more in logistics that we haven't gotten into. Intermodal, which would be trains and boats, air freight, international stuff, warehousing. That would be something that I would like to get into. But the immediate plan is to continue to scale our company and get more systems in place to where it functions like pretty well hands off, which I think we've done a good job. You know, everybody kind of comes in with a purpose and like knows what they're doing, and we'd like to duplicate that. Really get more people in here and continue to grow. That's the main objective, and then side quest, if you will. I'd like to get into some other avenues of logistics.
Nice, very, very cool. Love to hear that. Well, that's kind of all of the questions that I've got. We burned through them pretty well. I do have a question. So here is a tradition that we've enacted. We started maybe like 6 or 7 episodes ago, but I give the opportunity for the previous guest to ask a question to the next guest. So which it's cool too because it's from way downtown where was the previous guest. So that's Will, William, and Douglas. And that I've heard them talk about this this question on their podcast, and I've had the privilege of discussing it with them in person too. So what is the fiercest animal you think that you could take in a cage match?
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Oh man, fiercest.
So here's what Will said. He continues to defend the idea that he could take a kangaroo, and I don't know about it, man. I like, I get it. I've seen like the clip of like the one guy defending his dog and like taking the kangaroo like in like a headlock, but I think in a cage match, like I don't think that you're going to be able to stand up to it. I feel like you're going to get rocked.
Yeah, I mean, I would need to know what kind of kangaroo we're dealing with. You know, there's
Right.
some kangaroos. I've seen some TikTok videos, some our ones, just this ripped kangaroo like punching people. Like that kangaroo, like not a chance. But like your average kangaroo at the zoo, you know, maybe a smaller kangaroo that maybe who knows. So I guess it's a toss up. I think it's kangaroo dependent for my answer.
Sure.
A kangaroo, but I think I could a small kind of like mountain lion, not like a full, maybe like I don't know, like a bobcat. Is
Sure.
that easy to say?
Yeah. I think that's good.
I think that no weapons, just bare hands.
It's in a cage match. Nobody's going anywhere. You just gotta subdue it.
I'm trying to see how big a puma is. Probably not a puma. A bobcat. I think I could be a bobcat.
I think bobcat is a much safer answer. I think you have a greater propensity to get your jugular just destroyed with like a puma.
Yeah, there's no guarantees, but I think I would have a chance.
No, I think that's a good answer. That's I'm with you there.
All right, so now I need to ask a question for the next guest.
Yeah, I want to extend the opportunity to you. Well, what's something that you'd like to ask to the next guest?
Yeah, I would want to ask them if you could change lives or be anyone else in the world, who would that be and why?
Oh, like switch lives with someone?
Yeah, like you can be anybody else or have lived anybody else's life, and why?
Nice. I like that. That's a good question. Do you have an answer to that?
Um, Nah, I mean, I could give some answers, but I don't think that they'll be well thought out answers. Like LeBron
Sure.
James, but
Yeah.
actually, like, I'm not sure. I'll need a second to think about it, but I think that is I don't know. That question might tell you a lot about a person for if they answer why. They give you an answer that's not like LeBron James, somebody else, and it's like, well, this why
Yeah.
what they stood for is what they believed in or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I agree. I think I'd to be interested to hear like the lines of thinking for the responses there. Well, I think that's gonna conclude all that I've got. Anything that you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you having me on. Hope everybody listening that I delivered as a guest. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you having me on. It was good to catch up and speak with you, and yeah, it's an honor.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that is going to conclude our 20th episode of When I Was Your Age. If you've made it to this far in the podcast, go ahead and drop a bobcat emoji if there is one that exists on the Instagram feed. That'd be pretty cool of you. And we will catch you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.